A beautiful morning to you out there. My name is Emmanuel Michael. Welcome to Front Pages that shape public opinion. To the stories setting the agendas as we are set to take you through the headlines coming from major newspapers this morning right here on Atlantic Television Network. As a whole lot of stories are making rounds, hogging the headline in the major key newspapers right here in Nigeria. And of course, 2027 election is coming up and a lot is happening with INEC and the e-transmission of, results. Some money has been budgeted. We do well to take you through that as well. All these are many more going on the basis this morning of News Park. I'll introduce my guests and then, of course, we get to some of the big headlines coming in from the pages of newspaper this morning. All right, welcome back from that short break. Let's head straight to the Punch newspaper this morning because trending stories. It says DSU declares a total war on police corruption, impunity, and the rest of it. So the newly, decorated IGP, talking about DSU, has also declared a war on police corruption, impunity, and the rest of other unwanted in the police force. And he also, promised to, of course, make security of life and property of Nigerians as a priority during his reign. Kingsley, I know you're almost in tune with the newly appointed IGP, talking about Tunde Disu. Now he has come out to, make a bold statement about what he intends to do during his time in office. Talk about impunity, police, system, and the war against corruption. Taking a look at it, are you hopeful, confident enough that he's going to, achieve all of this?
I think we just have to keep our fingers crossed and see what a man who is very much, experienced, in his job. He's been, of course, he's been a police officer from what we've seen for over 30 years, so he's been one man, of course, who has that, much experience, when it comes to tackling insecurity, and all of that. So I just hope that, with his level of experience, he'll be able to, put impressive performance. We're talking about the 2027 election that's coming up, and that's even more of the reason the president decided, of course, to bring him on board, looking at, his experience. And I think the president believes that, he will be able to put up, a very impressive performance when it comes to, of course, the election. Of course, you know how, the election usually used to be, ballot box, being taken away, and all of that. But if, of course, he's been able to put things in place, be able to charge his men to, of course, be able to be in a good position to tackle all of this. For me, to be a good one, what we need is a fair election that, of course, will happen without people losing their lives, at the end of the day. And I think for me, that's where, of course, he's been brought in. If he can be able to manage, all of this, and of course, make us have a successful election without people losing their life, without we hearing of ballot box, being used, I think it will really, of course, helping at this point. With this level of experience, I believe maybe at the end of the day, he will achieve, all that has been set aside for him.
Beyond, achieving all that has been set aside for him, the main concern and worries from, some stakeholders and well-meaning Nigerians is about, his position. Now, he has less than 10 months before his official retirement, and President has appointed him on acting capacity. Some have said he should have, appoint a substantial IGP and not, someone whose tenure is about less than, call it 10 months before expiration of his tenure. I don't know what is your take on that. Do you think that Mr. President erred by, appointing him, temporarily, or rather he should have gone for a substantive appointment of, police IGP after Betekun was, removed from office?
Yes, for me, I think that's where some persons are actually looking at this point. Is why appointing a man that is, has gotten towards, retirement at this point in time. But I feel the president, of course, president have his reason, for appointing the man. Maybe he feels that he can do a better job than the ones, on ground, as to stand. And for me, we look forward to see what comes up, after the election. If he's going to, of course, retire, at the end of the day, or maybe we'll see what will also come up from the president if he, of course, emerges, as the president, at the end of the day. So for me, if you look at, his level of experience, he has been in the game for over 30 years now. So you could say someone of that nature have a lot of experience, when it comes to managing insecurity and being able, of course, to manage the forthcoming election. No, I think at this point in time, the president probably is relying on his level of experience, and maybe from going through all that he has done, I actually went to take a look at his profile, and the man has actually occupied different positions in different forces, and all of that. So, with such pedigree, I think he has what it takes, to be able to arrange, of course, his men to make sure, of course, they get to do, a better job, at the end of the day. So let's just see what comes up. I think the president has a lot of confidence on the man, so we'll look forward to see, what he'll be able to do, come the 2027 election.
Right. But what Disu, the new IGP, will do as the 2027 election comes or draws near, because a lot of security concerns. A few hours ago, we heard how some of the ADC stakeholders and party stalwart were attacked. Yes, just a few hours ago. And issues of security still remain paramount even as elections draws near. Beyond that, Kingsley, I don't know if at the end of his official service in office with less than 9 months to go, and Mr. President decide to elongate his stay in office, are you Nigerians taking to the streets to demand for his removal? Because we are already seeing some talks here and there. Some activists like Showore have also joined in that debate of Mr. President should have appointed a substantive IGP. Are you thinking that Nigerians will take to the street to demand his removal after his time in office?
I think it's all boils down to what he'll be able to do, during this period of time. How, of course, he'll be able to manage the forthcoming election in terms of tackling insecurity, kind of ballot boxes, that I think it's all going to boil down to what, of course, will be his performance. And then we will then come to sit down to say, okay, Mr. President, elongate his tenure, or maybe he should take him down. I think it's all going to boil down to how his performance will look like. If he does well, yes, I think some Nigerians might be in support. Okay, let him continue. I think he will show a very impressive, performance. But if at the end of the day, we do not, of course, see that impressive performance that people, expect from him, Nigerians will be against, his continuation as the IGP, at the end of the day. For my concern is this not be for political purposes. That's the thing. If the president is bringing him on board, to help him maybe run the election, and all of that, it's not going to be good at all. I think Nigerians will not be. That's even why some Nigerians are even protesting against it, because appointing someone at this point in time, before just because of the forthcoming election, some things like this bring some kind of motives. Some person might think, oh, the president is trying to plot his graph well, to make sure, he actually, find a good ground during the 2027 election. That's what some person might be saying at this. My concern is, let it not be for political purpose that Nigerians will benefit from. That's what, of course, we need at this point in time. Talking about his elongation, I think it's all going to boil down to how he performed, in the forthcoming 2027 election.
We are looking forward to see what Mr. Disu is going to bring to the table during his time in office, as the 2027 election draws near. A lot of expectations from Nigerians, a lot of work for him to do in terms of tackling the insecurities right here in the country. And the Nigerians will be waiting and watching to see what he brings to the table. Away from big stories hogging the headline this morning, still talking, the Punch newspaper is about the 395.12 million that have been earmarked for the e-transmission of election. And it says that The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has earmarked approximately 395.12 million naira for nationwide implementation of electronic transmission of election results in preparation for the 2027 general election. This allocation is a part of a larger record-breaking 2027 election budget, a proposal of 873.78 billion naira presented by INEC to the National Assembly. So Kingsley, humongous amount of money, about 395.12 million marked for the transmission of election result. But the big concern here from so many Nigerians is the fact that despite the debate, despite the worries from Nigerians, Mr. President still went ahead, to sign for the, electronic transmission of result, despite the discrepancies that some Nigerians, in that. Now, 3.12 million marked for the. This money will be substantially used for the peoples.
I think it's just going to boil down to INEC, at this point in time. Would they properly make use of this money? We hear that, over 800 billion, has been marked for the 2027 election. That's a very huge amount of money. And out of 800, over 300 million has been put together to, of course, transmission. We always hear things like this: oh, money has been earmarked for this and all of that. But when it gets to a time where we're supposed to properly utilize this money, how have they used the money? Because we always, get into issues like this, when we say, okay, we've earmarked so amount of money, right, for so thing, maybe and all of that. At the end of the day, you realize that was not used, properly. The electronic transmission of results, at this point in time. Now they are saying this money will be used, for system configuration, SIM, and all of that. We just hope that at the end of the day, it will be used properly, and as well, not just that, the issue of network, because I think that's what they always use, as excuse. Oh, there is no network. The network is not in proper shape. That's why we're not transmitting automatically. Whatever it is for them to do, they should be able to make sure they put it in check, make sure they use the money properly to address and try most of course, to do to make it fair enough, for people. Take a look at this this year budget, for the election, over 800 billion. 2023 election, they used about over 300 billion. And now we're seeing, this budget is even more than that by 2 times, as it stands. So we put in such amounts of money, see a credible election. We want to see a free and a fair election that, of course, Nigerians will be happy about in terms of conduct, and all of that. It's not just a mark money. Yes, they can mark money, but would they properly use this money for the purpose at which this money, of course, was assigned for? That's always the issue. They will tell us, oh, we've earmarked also amount of money for this, but at the end, you ask, how was this money used? Because what they say they want to use that money to do would not be actualized, at the end of the day. So my concern is not about how much they've actually tabled or we are going to use for electronic transmission and all of that, but we did use the money effectively, right thing, to make sure that at the end of the day, the person who is due to win will emerge, successfully. That's always the issue. So I just hope that what they're trying to do, will of course see the light of the day. This time around, INEC should be, very assiduous, with their job. Last time they announced the election results when people were sleeping. This time around, I think they should try most of the time to see how to do whatever they, need to do to make sure that, this time we'll have a free and a fair election.
All right, the dust indeed is gathering as elections near a lot of activities steadily within the Independent National Electoral Commission, and a lot still unfolding. But time is the constraining factor. We have other bigger stories. But before we leave, let me get straight to the Daily Trust, because this one says protests as El-Rufai remains in detention. Some of the headlines out there in the Daily Trust. And then again, another big headline says DSS releases Walida. And still on the Daily Trust, it says era of impunity over IGP Disu. Says more like a related story to what we just read in Punch newspaper. And still talking the Daily Trust, another big headline says 2027 Kwankwaso meet Makinde in Ibadan. So these are some of the trending headlines. Do well to avail yourself the opportunity, grab a copy of the Nigerian newspaper and get yourself acquainted with some of the daily news and happenings. My friend, this is how far we can go, because we are running out of time. We'll do this again tomorrow morning, every Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. is a newspaper headline right here on Atlantic Television. I want to really appreciate you this morning for finding time to, of course, do this with me.
Thank you very much for having me, Mike. Nice to be here.
All right, I did a show this morning alongside my colleague, Kingsley Emmanuel. My name is Emmanuel Michael, the Prime Minister of the Airways. Like I said, we'll make a return tomorrow morning for yet another bumper package of a newspaper headline right here on Atlantic Television Network. To our social media handles, and of course, drop a message. I will certainly get back to you. More programs come your way this morning, so stay locked right here on Atlantic Television Network.